I want to talk to you today about something a fair number of older adults notice and find unsettling, and that's usually manageable but worth understanding. Feeling lightheaded, dizzy, or faint when you bend down, straighten up, or strain, and what this can mean for your blood pressure, your circulation, and occasionally your heart. Because feeling your head swim when you bend over or stand up from bending is disorienting, and it's natural to wonder what's going on. Yet this kind of lightheadedness usually has understandable, manageable causes related to blood pressure and position, while occasionally warranting checking, so understanding it helps you respond wisely and stay safe from falls. So today, I want to explain why bending and straining can make you lightheaded, the common blood pressure causes, the straining connection, when it's worth checking, and what to do, in partnership with your doctor. And I'll keep this calm and balanced, because while this lightheadedness is usually manageable, it can occasionally warrant checking and is a genuine falls risk. So understanding it lets you respond wisely and stay safe, in partnership with your doctor. This is about understanding an unsettling but usually manageable symptom while staying safe. Let me start with why bending and straightening can make you lightheaded, because the blood pressure mechanism makes sense of it. The commonest reason bending down and straightening up makes you lightheaded relates to blood pressure and the movement of blood with position, much as I've discussed about the drop in blood pressure on standing. When you bend down and then straighten up or stand up from bending, gravity and the position change affect where your blood is, and your body has to quickly adjust to keep enough blood flowing to your brain. If this adjustment lags, the blood pressure to the brain momentarily falls, causing lightheadedness, dizziness, or a swimming feeling, sometimes with brief dimming of vision, until your body compensates. This is closely related to the orthostatic blood pressure drop I've discussed, just triggered by bending and straightening. So bending and straightening can make you lightheaded because the position change momentarily affects blood pressure to the brain, which, if the body's adjustment lags, causes brief lightheadedness until it compensates. So understanding this blood pressure and position mechanism is the foundation. So bending and straightening cause lightheadedness via momentary blood pressure changes. So position change lightheadedness is usually a blood pressure effect. Let me give you the common causes, because most are understandable and manageable. This bending and straightening lightheadedness usually has common manageable causes, much like the blood pressure drop on standing. Dehydration is a frequent contributor, since being underhydrated, common in older adults, reduces blood volume and makes the body slower to adjust. Medications, including blood pressure medicines, water tablets, and others, can affect blood pressure regulation and contribute. The orthostatic blood pressure drop itself, common in older adults, underlies much of it. Rising too quickly from bending compounds it. And factors like heat, having just eaten, or being unwell, can contribute. So lightheadedness on bending and straightening commonly results from dehydration, medications, the blood pressure drop with position change, rising too quickly, and factors like heat, most of which are understandable and manageable. So the common causes are dehydration, medications, blood pressure regulation, and rising too quickly, mostly manageable. So most bending lightheadedness has a manageable cause. Let me explain the straining connection, because it's a specific and useful point. There's a specific connection with straining worth knowing. When you strain or bear down, as in lifting something heavy, straining on the toilet as I've discussed, or other bearing down efforts, this transiently affects the pressures in your chest and the blood flow to and from the heart, and can momentarily affect your blood pressure and the blood flow to your brain, sometimes causing lightheadedness or even faintness during or just after straining. This is usually benign, a transient effect of the straining, but it's why heavy straining can make you feel briefly lightheaded, and why, as I've discussed, hard straining is worth avoiding, especially in those with heart conditions. So, lightheadedness during or after straining is usually a transient, benign effect of bearing down on the circulation, though a reason to avoid hard straining. So straining can cause lightheadedness through its transient effect on the circulation, Usually benign, but a reason to avoid hard straining, especially with heart conditions. So the straining connection is usually benign but worth noting. So straining-related lightheadedness is usually a transient effect. Let me note when this lightheadedness might warrant more attention, because some does. While usually manageable, lightheadedness on bending, straightening, or straining is worth checking in certain situations. See your doctor if it is frequent, persistent, or troublesome. Comes with actual fainting or near fainting, which warrants proper assessment as I've discussed. Comes with chest discomfort, palpitations, breathlessness, or other heart symptoms, which could point to the heart. Is associated with an irregular heartbeat, or is causing falls or risking your safety. These warrant checking to identify the cause, whether the blood pressure drop, dehydration, medications, a heart or rhythm issue, or another cause, many of which are manageable. By contrast, occasional mild lightheadedness on bending or straining that quickly settles, without these features, is usually the benign blood pressure effect, though still worth mentioning if it bothers you or risks falls. So see your doctor for lightheadedness on bending or straining that's frequent, troublesome, or comes with fainting, chest discomfort, palpitations, breathlessness, or an irregular heartbeat, while occasional mild lightheadedness that settles is usually benign. So let troublesome or symptomatic lightheadedness prompt a check. So heed lightheadedness with concerning features. Let me stress the fall safety point, because it genuinely matters. Let me stress safety, since this lightheadedness is a genuine falls risk. Feeling lightheaded or faint when bending or straightening, especially if it causes you to stumble or lose balance, can lead to a fall, which in older adults is a serious hazard. So it's important to take care. When you feel lightheaded on bending or straightening, pause and steady yourself, with support nearby, until it passes before moving on. And addressing the lightheadedness, through the measures I'll give, helps prevent falls. So beyond finding the cause, managing this lightheadedness and taking care when it strikes, genuinely protects you from falls. So this lightheadedness is a genuine falls risk. So take care to steady yourself with support when it strikes, and address it to prevent falls. So falls safety is a key reason to manage this. So protect yourself from falls when lightheaded. Let me give you the sensible self-help measures, because several help. For lightheadedness on bending, straightening, or straining, sensible measures help, alongside your doctor's input where needed. Stay well hydrated, since dehydration is a common contributor. Move smoothly and avoid rising too quickly from bending, straightening in a controlled way, and pausing if needed, to give your body time to adjust. Avoid hard straining, using the measures I've discussed for constipation, and not bearing down heavily, especially with heart conditions. Take care to steady yourself with support when lightheaded, to prevent falls. Review your medications with your doctor if you suspect they contribute, without stopping them yourself. And be aware of triggers like heat and rising after meals. So manage this lightheadedness with good hydration, moving smoothly and not rising too quickly, avoiding hard straining, steadying yourself for safety, and reviewing medications with your doctor, alongside getting it checked if troublesome. So hydration, smooth movement, avoiding hard straining, and falls care help. So self-help measures address much of this lightheadedness. Let me paint you a quick picture of how this helps. Picture a woman in her 70s who feels her head swim every time she bends to pick something up and straightens back up, occasionally having to grab the counter, which unsettles her and risks a fall. Understanding that this is usually the momentary blood pressure effect of the position change, often with dehydration or medications contributing, she sees her doctor, who finds her underhydrated with a blood pressure medication contributing, advises her to drink more, adjusts her medication, and reassures her there's no rhythm or heart problem. She also learns to move more smoothly, not rise too quickly, avoid hard straining, and steady herself with support. Her lightheadedness eases, her falls risk drops, and her worry lifts, the cause having been understandable and manageable. The same woman, but understanding and managing her lightheadedness, relieved it and stayed safer. That contrast is exactly why understanding this unsettling but manageable symptom matters. Let me speak briefly to those of you caring for an older parent or partner. Understand that lightheadedness on bending, straightening, or straining is usually the momentary blood pressure effect of position change or bearing down, commonly with dehydration or medications contributing and usually manageable, though occasionally warranting checking and a genuine falls risk. You can help by supporting good hydration, smooth movement, and not rising too quickly, avoiding hard straining, and steadying themselves with support when lightheaded to prevent falls. If medications seem to contribute, encourage reviewing them with the doctor rather than stopping them. Encourage seeing the doctor if it's frequent, troublesome, or comes with fainting, chest discomfort, palpitations, breathlessness, or an irregular heartbeat, and help reduce falls hazards at home. Helping a loved one understand, manage, and stay safe with this lightheadedness relieves it and protects them from falls. So let me draw this all together. Feeling lightheaded, dizzy, or faint when you bend down, straighten up, or strain is usually the momentary effect of the position change or bearing down on your blood pressure and the blood flow to your brain, closely related to the drop in blood pressure on standing, and it usually has common, manageable causes: dehydration, medications, the blood pressure drop with position change, rising too quickly, and factors like heat, with straining causing a usually benign transient effect. It's worth checking if frequent, troublesome, or accompanied by fainting, chest discomfort, palpitations, breathlessness, or an irregular heartbeat, while occasional mild lightheadedness that settles is usually benign, and it's a genuine falls risk. So taking care to steady yourself and managing it protects you. So manage it with good hydration, smooth movement, and not rising too quickly, avoiding hard straining, steadying yourself for safety, and reviewing medications with your doctor while seeing your doctor for the troublesome or symptomatic kind. So here's what I'll leave you with, straight and clear. First, understand that lightheadedness on bending, straightening, or straining is usually the momentary effect of the position change or bearing down on your blood pressure and blood flow to the brain, closely related to the drop in blood pressure on standing. Second, know the common, manageable causes: dehydration, medications including blood pressure ones and water tablets, the blood pressure drop with position change, rising too quickly, and factors like heat, with straining causing a usually benign transient effect, though a reason to avoid hard straining, especially with heart conditions. Third, see your doctor if it's frequent, persistent, or troublesome, or comes with fainting or near fainting, chest discomfort, palpitations, breathlessness, or an irregular heartbeat, since these warrant checking, while occasional mild lightheadedness that settles is usually benign. Fourth, take this seriously as a falls risk. When you feel lightheaded on bending or straightening, pause and steady yourself with support until it passes, and address it to prevent falls. And fifth, manage it with sensible measures. Stay well hydrated, move smoothly, and avoid rising too quickly. Avoid hard straining, steady yourself for safety. Review medications with your doctor if you suspect they contribute without stopping them yourself, and be aware of triggers like heat and meals. This lightheadedness is usually manageable and understandable, but it's a genuine falls risk and occasionally warrants checking. So understanding it lets you respond wisely, manage it, and stay safe, which is well worth doing. So take care of yourself, stay hydrated, move smoothly, avoid hard straining, steady yourself when lightheaded, and see your doctor if it's troublesome or symptomatic. And because this lightheadedness can occasionally reflect a heart or other issue needing assessment and is a genuine falls risk, please treat frequent or troublesome lightheadedness or lightheadedness with fainting, chest discomfort, palpitations, or breathlessness as your reason to see your own physician. Don't stop any medication you suspect on your own, and take care to steady yourself to prevent falls.